This is Jeff Badger, the Grinding Doc, and we're going to talk about fatigue life in materials. And we're going to talk about fatigue life after they've been subjected to good grinding and abusive grinding. This is a paper written way back in 1983 by my PhD advisor, Dr. Andrew Torrance, and we used to call him Dr. T, not to be confused with Mr. T, who also published an article in 1983. But this is Dr. T, and this is what Dr. T found. Okay. What he found is this is his bearing, this is the fatigue life of his 52100 bearings after they've been subjected to an oscillating load. And if they did not abusively grind the material, if Dr. T ground the material gently, the bearing lasted about 50 hours before some fraction of those bearings failed. And then if he ground it a little bit harder, he still got about 50 hours of life out of that bearing. But then when he ground it at such a abusive condition that he got rehardening burn. Rehardening burn, white layer, phase transformation of the steel. The steel gets above the austenitizing temperature, recrystallizes, and turns into untempered martensite, a hard, brittle material. As soon as he crossed that austenitizing temperature and got the recrystallization, all of a sudden now his fatigue life went from 50 hours down to 10 hours. That's a big drop. Then if he was even more abusive and got even deeper rehardening burn or higher temperatures, or here he did it in terms of specific energy, that gets a little complicated, the specific energy over the specific energy where rehardening burn occurs. But let's just say he exceeded the rehardening burn threshold by a lot. Okay, and therefore got deeper rehardening burn. Then his fatigue life dropped down to, 2 or 3 hours? And then if he really pushed it too far, where he was grinding at way too high temperatures, then he got cracking of the material. And if you crack your material, well, you're not going to get much of a fatigue life. Okay. But the moral of the story is, if you grind your material abusively and get a little bit of over-tempering of the material, it's probably not going to affect your fatigue life that much. It's not good. You have a softer material, but it's not good. If you grind abusively and you get some residual tensile stresses, well, that's not good either, because that's going to weaken your material, but it's not going to affect your fatigue life drastically. But as soon as you get into the realm of rehardening burn, that's when your fatigue life goes down a lot. Jeff Badger, the Grinding Doc, the basics of grinding.